Welcome to Mind Tier Learning. In today's GCSE Maths lesson, we're learning how to substitute values into algebraic expressions. Substitution means replacing letters with numbers. Once we know what a letter stands for, we can turn an algebraic expression into a normal calculation. This is an important GCSE skill because it appears in algebra, geometry, graphs, science formulas, and real-life problem solving. Before we begin, remember to like this video, subscribe to Mind Tier Learning, and follow along carefully. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to substitute both positive and negative values into algebraic expressions. You will learn why brackets are especially important when substituting negative numbers. You will practice using BIDMAS to evaluate expressions in the correct order. Finally, you will apply substitution to real-world formulas, including area and force. Let's begin with the key vocabulary. Substitution means replacing a letter or variable with a specific number. Evaluation means finding the final numerical value of an expression. A formula is a mathematical rule written using symbols. For example, the formula for the area of a rectangle is area equals length times width. When we substitute values into a formula, we can calculate a real answer. Before we swap letters for numbers, let's recap some algebraic notation. In algebra, some operations are hidden. For example, 3y means 3 times y. AB means A times B. X over 2 means X divided by 2. X squared means X times X. This matters because when we substitute numbers into expressions, we need to remember what operation is really happening. Let's do a notation check. If we write 5AB, what operations are actually happening? Is it number 1, 5 plus A plus B? Number 2, 5 times A times B. Number 3, 5 divided by A times B. Number 4, 5 squared plus A plus B. Pause the video and think carefully. Remember, when numbers and letters are written next to each other, multiplication is hidden. The correct answer is 5 times A times B. In algebra, 5AB means 5 multiplied by A, multiplied by B. It does not mean 5 plus A plus B. This is one of the most important things to remember before substituting values into expressions. Now let's think about substitution. Imagine a football manager substituting one player for another. In algebra, substitution works in a similar way. We swap a variable for a known value. For example, if x equals 5, then x plus 10 becomes 5 plus 10. So the answer is 15. Substitution is simply replacing a letter with the number it represents. There are 3 clear steps for substitution. First, replace every letter with its number value. Second, multiply where needed. Remember, if a number and a letter were next to each other, that means multiplication. Third, solve the calculation using the correct order of operations. For example, if we had 4x and x equals 3, we replace x with 3. So 4x becomes 4 times 3, which equals 12. Negative numbers are where many substitution mistakes happen. To avoid errors, always put brackets around the number you are substituting, especially if it is negative. For example, if x equals negative 3, and we need to evaluate x squared, we write bracket negative 3 bracket squared. That means negative 3 times negative 3, which equals positive 9. Without brackets, you might accidentally write negative 3 squared, which means something different. Using brackets keeps the substitution clear and accurate. When an expression has more than one operation, we must follow BIDMAS. BIDMAS stands for brackets, indices, division and multiplication, then addition and subtraction. For example, if A equals 2 and B equals 3, evaluate 5 plus AB. First, substitute the values in. That gives us 5 plus 2 times 3. Using BIDMAS, we multiply first. 2 times 3 is 6. Then we add 5, giving a final answer of 11. Let's test your understanding. If x equals 4, the value of 2 plus 3x is 20. Is that true or false? Pause the video and think carefully. Remember, 3x means 3 times x, and multiplication happens before addition. The statement is false. If x equals 4, then 2 plus 3x becomes 2 plus 3 times 4. Using BIDMAS, we multiply before adding. 3 times 4 equals 12. Then 2 plus 12 equals 14. So the value is 14, not 20. The correct explanation is, you must multiply 3 by 4 first to get 12, then add 2 to get 14. The mistake would be adding 2 and 3 first to get 5, then multiplying by 4. But BIDMAS tells us multiplication comes before addition, so that method is incorrect. Substitution is not just something we do in algebra lessons. It is used in real-world formulas all the time. For example, engineers and scientists use substitution to calculate values from formulas. Look at the formula for the area of a rectangle. Area equals length times width. If a playground has a length of 20 meters and a width of 15 meters, we substitute those values into the formula. Area equals 20 times 15, so the area is 300 square meters. Now, let's try substitution in a physics formula. The formula for force is F equals ma. That means force equals mass times acceleration. If the mass is 10 kilograms and the acceleration is 5 meters per second squared, then F equals 10 times 5. So, the force is 50 newtons. Now, if acceleration changes to -2, we substitute -2 into the formula. F equals 10 times -2, which equals -20 newtons. Pause the video and check how those answers fit into the sentence. The completed sentence is, the formula for force is F equals ma. If mass is 10 kilograms and acceleration is 5 meters per second squared, the force is 50 newtons. If we change acceleration to a negative value like -2, the force becomes -20 newtons. This shows why signs matter when substituting values into formulas. Now, let's think more carefully about brackets. Why is it mathematically different to calculate bracket -4, bracket squared, compared with -4 squared? This is a really important point for calculator work and GCSE exams. Pause the video and think about what BIDMAS tells us. Ask yourself, is the negative sign being squared, or only the 4? Bracket -4 bracket squared means -4 times -4. That equals +16. But -4 squared, without brackets, follows BIDMAS differently. The square applies to the 4 first, giving 16, and then the negative sign is applied. So the result is -16. This is why calculators can give different answers depending on whether you use brackets. When substituting a negative value into something like x squared, always use brackets. Let's finish with a final challenge. Evaluate the following if x equals -2 and y equals 5. First, 3x plus y. Second, y minus x. Third, x squared plus 10. Pause the video and try all three. Be especially careful with question 2, because subtracting a negative number can be tricky. Let's go through the answers. For 3x plus y, substitute x equals negative 2 and y equals 5. That gives 3 times negative 2 plus 5. 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. Negative 6 plus 5 equals negative 1. So the first answer is negative 1. For y minus x, substitute y equals 5 and x equals negative 2. That gives 5 minus negative 2. Subtracting a negative is the same as adding, so this becomes 5 plus 2, which equals 7. So the second answer is 7. For x squared plus 10, substitute x equals negative 2. Write bracket negative 2 bracket squared plus 10. Negative 2 squared is 4. 4 plus 10 equals 14. So the answers are negative 1, 7, and 14. That's the end of today's lesson on substitution into expressions. You should now be able to replace variables with numbers, use brackets for negative values, follow BIDMAS, and apply substitution to real-world formulas. Remember, substitute carefully. Use brackets when needed. Always follow the correct order of operations. If this lesson helped, please like the video, subscribe to Mindtier Learning, and watch the next GCSE Maths lesson to keep building your algebra confidence.